He held me while I cried about my mom's death, and the whole time, he knew he was the reason she was gone. I was wearing the black dress she picked out with me. That's what I remember most from that day, not the flowers, not the ashes, not even the tears. Just the way that dress clung to me like a second skin, heavy with grief, soaked with sweat under my arms because I couldn't stop shaking. And Aaron. Aaron stood beside me like a statue. Silent. Steady. Strong. Everyone said how lucky I was to have him. They didn't know he was the reason I was wearing that dress in the first place. At the time, of course, I didn't know either. All I knew was that my mom was dead. Hit and run. No witnesses. No answers. Just a news report with the words ongoing investigation and a coroner's report that made me vomit when I read it. Skull fracture. Blunt force trauma. Multiple ribs shattered. Left to die in the street. The detective assigned to her case was nice enough in a tired, overworked kind of way. He told me it could take time. That not all hit and runs get solved. That sometimes, the driver just vanishes. But how do you accept that? How do you accept that the last person to see your mother alive didn't even stop? Aaron held me for hours that night. He ran a bath for me. He dried my hair with a towel like I was a child. He kissed my forehead and told me she was proud of me. That she loved me. That she would have wanted me to keep going. And I clung to him like he was the only thing keeping me above water. In a way, he was. We had been together for almost 4 years. Moved in during the pandemic. He was calm where I was fire. Patient where I was impulsive. He taught me how to budget, how to cook, how to breathe when my anxiety made the walls close in. I used to joke that he was my walking Xanax. I really thought we were going to get married. He even helped plan the funeral. I was too out of it to make decisions. He picked the photo that went on her service card, the one where she's holding a coffee cup and laughing in her old garden. He made the calls. He even paid for the reception afterward when I broke down at the funeral home because I couldn't afford both the coffin and the food. I got it, he whispered, arms around me. Whatever you need, I got you. God, I believed him. 6 months went by. I started sleeping again. Went back to work. Grief clung to my skin like invisible paint, but Aaron. He helped me wear it. He never pushed. Never snapped. Just held me when I needed to cry and gave me space when I needed silence. Until 5 nights ago. I was looking for an old charger in the closet when I found the box. Just an old shoebox, shoved behind a pile of winter coats. I don't know why I opened it. Maybe boredom. Maybe fate. I wish to God I had just left it buried. I wish I had never seen it. I wish inside was a sealed plastic bag, cloudy from dust. And inside that, a broken side mirror. It was scratched and cracked and marked with something in faded Sharpie. Ford Expedition. 2023 case. Fatal. Do not discard. I stared at it for what felt like hours. My mind refused to connect the dots. Why would Aaron have something like this? Why would there be a fatal case part in our closet? I told myself it had to be from his cousin who's a mechanic and sometimes leaves junk in our place. That made sense. Right? But my stomach was already twisting. I checked the corner of the box again. Beneath the mirror was a crumpled citation. A speeding ticket. Same night my mom died. Same intersection. My ears started ringing. That was the moment. The moment I knew. Before he said a word. Before I confronted him. Before everything cracked in two. Somewhere deep in my body, something went still. Aaron. Hit my mother. And he never told me. I waited. I sat on the edge of the couch, heart pounding so loud I thought it would burst through my chest. I didn't say anything when he walked in the door that night, not right away. I just watched him. Watched how he hung up his jacket. How he smiled at me like everything was fine. Like we weren't about to step into a nightmare. When he kissed my forehead, I flinched. That was when he looked at me. Really looked at me. "Everything okay?" he asked, brow furrowed. I couldn't speak. I just handed him the citation. His face fell before he even read it. Then I pulled out the bag. When he saw the mirror, his hands started to tremble. "Aaron," I whispered, "please. Just tell me it's not what I think. Tell me you're not the reason my mother is dead." His mouth opened and nothing came out. Then he sat down, slowly, like his legs could no longer hold him. He stared at the floor. At the carpet. Anywhere but at me. I waited. Finally, after what felt like forever, he said it. Soft. Like it wouldn't detonate my world. I didn't know it was her. The words hit like a hammer to the chest. I couldn't breathe. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice shaking. "What do you mean you didn't know it was her?" He started talking. Haltingly. Stumbling over his own guilt like it was the first time he'd ever admitted it out loud. He told me about that night. About the 2 beers he had after work. About how we'd argued earlier over something stupid, groceries, of all things, and how he'd left in a bad mood. He said the rain made the road slick. That he was speeding because he just wanted to be alone. To cool off. He said she stepped into the crosswalk too fast. He said he didn't even see her until it was too late. I hit the brakes, he whispered, but I was already too close. I felt the impact. I felt the car lurch. I stopped. But I didn't get out. I couldn't. I panicked. I kept going. I was staring at him like he was someone else entirely. A stranger. A monster. "I didn't find out it was your mom until the next morning," he continued. "I turned on the news and I saw her face. I thought I was going to pass out. I wanted to come clean. I swear to God, I did. But then you called me sobbing. I couldn't. I couldn't do it. I couldn't be the one to break you." My hands were fists on my lap. I wanted to hit him. I wanted to scream. But I couldn't move. Couldn't even cry. "So you what?" I said slowly. "You decided to just let me cry on your shoulder for months. While you knew. I thought," he whispered, "that if I loved you hard enough, it would make it right." I screamed. I don't even remember making the sound. It came from somewhere so deep it tore through me like fire. My throat was raw. My body folded in on itself. I slid to the floor and sobbed harder than I ever have in my life. Aaron tried to come closer. I shrank away like his skin was poison. He killed her. He let me weep in his arms and he killed her. He kissed me with the same mouth that said, "I'm sorry for your loss." He bought her headstone. He carried her casket. And all along, he was the one who hit her and left her in the street to die. I told him to get out. He didn't argue. He just stood there for a moment, like he wanted to say something. But then he picked up his keys, opened the door, and left. The second the door closed, I collapsed. And I have not left the floor since. It took me until morning to move. I lay on the floor all night, surrounded by shattered glass and silence. I don't remember falling asleep, but I must have. When I woke, the light outside was soft and gray, the kind of light that usually feels peaceful. But there was nothing peaceful in that apartment anymore. Everything had Aaron's fingerprints on it. On me. I wanted to rip my skin off. But I stood up. I made coffee I didn't drink. I stared at the mirror above the sink and barely recognized the girl looking back. She looked like she'd been hit by a truck, ironic, cruel. And then I picked up the phone and called the detective who'd handled my mom's case. "Detective Nwosu," he answered, casual, routine. I didn't even say hello. My voice cracked as I spoke. I know who killed my mother. There was silence. Then, excuse me? I told him everything. Every horrifying, stomach-turning detail. I told him about the mirror, the citation, the confession. I gave him Aaron's full name, date of birth, even his license plate number. I held nothing back. He listened. Quiet. Calm. Almost too calm. I'm going to need you to bring in what you found, he said. The mirror, the documents. Everything. This could change the case entirely. I brought it all in within the hour. I watched as the detective placed each item in separate evidence bags, labeling and logging them with practiced precision. He didn't speak much. Just asked me to write a statement and sign it. I handed him the mirror, the one Aaron had hidden in our closet like a trophy. The one marked fatal. As I handed it over, I asked the question I'd been dreading. If he confesses, what happens next? The detective paused. If he's telling the truth, if we can prove he was the driver, he'll be charged. At minimum, vehicular manslaughter. Possibly fleeing the scene of a fatal accident. Maybe even DUI, depending on how far back we can trace it. It won't bring her back. But he won't walk free. Something inside me cracked. Relief? Grief? Rage? I don't know anymore. Emotions don't come in single colors when you've been betrayed this badly. They arrive in storms. Thunder and lightning. Fire and ash. I walked out of that station feeling emptier than I'd ever felt in my life. Not stronger. Not safer. Just numb. But that night, Aaron called me. Blocked number. I answered without thinking. His voice was hoarse, like he'd been crying. Please, he said. Please don't ruin my life. I laughed. Laughed so hard it scared me. Ruin your life? You killed my mother, Aaron. You ruined mine. It was an accident, he whispered. No, I snapped. The accident was the rain. The speed. But what you did after that was a choice. You chose to run. You chose to stay quiet. You chose to lie every day you kissed me. He said nothing. Then he said something I'll never forget. I was going to propose. I felt sick. You were going to propose while hiding the fact that you murdered my mom? He sniffled. I thought if we started a new chapter, I could let it go. Let it go. Like her death was something he carried. Like he was the victim. I hope you rot, I said, and hung up. Then I blocked the number. It's been 4 months. For long, confusing, soul-destroying months since the man I trusted more than anyone became the face of my greatest nightmare. The police arrested Aaron 2 weeks after my report. They had enough between the mirror, the citation, my signed statement, and eventually, his own voice. I had recorded our conversation that night. The one where he said I didn't know it was her. That was enough to reopen the case. Enough for charges. But that's not the part that broke me. What broke me was how everyone else responded. His parents, who had always loved me, always hugged me like a daughter, called me a liar. Said I was bitter. Said I was trying to destroy his life because he moved on. As if this was a breakup story. As if this was about jealousy. His friends blocked me on everything. One of them messaged me before doing it, told me I was cold, manipulative, trying to ruin a good man over a mistake. A mistake? My mother died in the street. Her skull cracked open like she was trash. A human being. My best friend. The woman who raised me when my father walked out. And her death was a mistake? But the worst part, the worst betrayal of all, came from someone I loved. His sister. Rachel. Rachel, who sat with me the day after the funeral. Who helped me pick the casket. Who helped me delete my mom's Facebook because I couldn't bear to see the birthday reminders anymore. I ran into her outside the courthouse during Aaron's preliminary hearing. She looked right at me. And do you know what she said? I still don't believe you. I wanted to scream. Not because she doubted me. But because he didn't deny it. Not once. He admitted it. On tape. In person. With his own mouth. And still they protected him. It made me question everything. Every hug. Every dinner. Every time they said, "We're so glad Aaron found you." I realized they didn't love me. They loved the version of me that kept him happy. The version of me that smiled. That stayed quiet. That made him look like a man worthy of love. Once I threatened that image, I became disposable. It took me weeks to breathe normally again. I had to leave our apartment. The memories were everywhere: his laughter in the kitchen, his body in the bed beside mine, his hands on my shoulders while I cried for a woman he killed. I moved into a studio in a different part of town. Cut off contact with anyone who even hesitated to believe me. And I started over. Therapy. Writing. Mornings with the windows open and the smell of coffee that I brewed. Silence. Peace. It still hurts. Grief doesn't leave just because the truth is exposed. But for the first time in a year, I feel like I'm walking in the light. Aaron's court date is set for next month. I'll be there. I'll wear the same black dress, not out of grief, but as armor. I'll stand in that courtroom and speak my truth. Not because I think they'll all finally believe me, but because I believe me. Because my mother deserves that. Because I deserve that. He held me while I cried about her death. But now I see it clearly. He wasn't holding me. He was hiding behind me. And I'm not letting him hide anymore. And I know I'm doing the right thing, or am I not?